Hye-jin was a proud, perfectionist city dentist who believed money and logic could fix anything. However, everything changes when her life knocks her off her heels and strands her in a seaside village, where an annoyingly perfect handyman she keeps fighting with slowly turns into the love she never planned for. The story begins when Hye-jin quits her job because her boss scolds her for offering a patient an affordable treatment instead of pushing expensive options. Fed up with prioritizing profits over patient care, she walks out. Confident she will find another job easily, Hye-jin applies to multiple clinics. But days pass, and rejection emails pile up. Her former boss had spread rumors about her in the medical community, effectively blacklisting her. Now broken and frustrated, Hye-jin visits a seaside village she used to visit a lot when she was younger, wearing her new, expensive shoes. She goes to the seashore, takes off her shoes, sits on the ground, watches the guy surfing on the water from afar, and reminisces about how she used to visit with her parents. Shortly after, Hye-jin stands up to take a stroll, and when she returns to the spot where she had earlier dropped her shoes, she does not find them. She begins to panic and look around, and that is when Du-sik, the guy surfing earlier, approaches her to hand her one of her shoes. Hye-jin expresses her gratitude and begs him to help her find the other pair, but Du-sik refuses, stating he only gave her that pair because the shoe floated on his surfboard while he was surfing and not because he helped her look for it. He turns to leave her since his mission with her is done, but remembers she is barefoot and drops his slippers for her before leaving. After Du-sik leaves, Hye-jin resigns to her fate and begins to walk around the neighborhood to look for help, clutching the single shoe Du-sik gave her earlier. Along the way, she spots a restaurant and heads there to ask for help. At the restaurant's entrance, Hye-jin meets the owner Hwa-jong, who notices she is wearing her restaurant's slippers. Curious, Hwa-jong invites her inside to eat and begins to advertise the village to her, encouraging her to set up a dental clinic since the village does not have one. After the meeting, Hye-jin returns to her car with the hope of returning to the city, but her car does not start, which makes her confused. She tries to call for help on her phone, but there is no service. She leaves her car and makes her way back to the restaurant to ask for help, wondering why her phone has no service, but encounters a runny stomach on the way, which makes her change her direction to the nearest cafe she can find to ease herself. Inside the cafe, Hye-jin meets the owner, Oh-hyun, and requests an iced Americano before rushing to the restroom. After it is done, she returns to have her order, while Oh-hyun introduces him as an artist who had a hit song back in the day. She tells him she is not familiar with his song, and a devastated Oh-hyun excuses himself. As he leaves her, she takes a sip of her coffee only to realize it tastes horrible. Disappointed, Hye-jin stands up to pay for her order only to find that the service is down. Juri, Oh-hyun's daughter, returns from school and joins in on their conversation. The situation soon grows awkward as they doubt her promise to return with cash. Just then, Du-sik enters the cafe, explains that the service outage is a general issue. Embarrassed but desperate, Hye-jin summons the courage to beg Du-sik to lend her some cash. However, Du-sik makes Hye-jin work for money instead and takes her to the harbor to gut squids. Even though she does not like this, she introduces herself to the three grandmas of the village, Gamri, Mati, and Sukja, and they teach her how to gut a squid successfully. After the day's work, Du-sik pays her, and she gives part of it to him to help her pay Oh-hyun. Du-sik collects the money, bids her goodbye, and leaves, but Hye-jin remembers she still needs help with her car and calls after him to request help with her vehicle. Du-sik helps her check it out, and that was when she discovered her car's battery had died because the tire pressure warning light was on throughout her journey to the village. Since it is already late, Du-sik recommends the sauna to Hye-jin to freshen up and wait till the morning before leaving her. She follows his advice and goes to the sauna only to meet him working as an attendant there, making her wonder how much work he actually does. The next morning, Hye-jin sets out to meet Du-sik at the harbor only to find him working as a salesman for fish. The sight makes her laugh at him, but Du-sik does not notice her. After he is done, Hye-jin approaches him to ask for help from the auto repair shop, and that is when she discovers that the service is now working. Thanks to this, Hye-jin locates an auto repair shop. Du-sik, on the other hand, also returns her money to Oh-hyun and changes his orientation of her being a scammer, saying he can vouch for her with a smile on his face while he helps Oh-hyun brew coffee. Hye-jin's car is now working, and she is on her way out of the village when she receives a call from her former boss, mocking her unemployment and demanding she return to beg for forgiveness. Stone-hearted Hye-jin refuses to fold, declares she will open her own clinic, and hangs up. Determined, she makes a U-turn and heads back to the village. She meets with Hwa-jong again and confirms her interest in opening a dental clinic. Hwa-jong excitedly leads her toward the realtor until it is called away, leaving her to continue the journey. When she arrives, she discovers the realtor is none other than Du-sik. He shows her his ID to prove it, but she genuinely asks who he really is. Smiling calmly, he introduces himself simply as Chief Hong. Du-sik takes Hye-jin to inspect an office space she can use for her dental clinic. While she carefully examines the place, he impatiently urges her to hurry so that they can check the next location. When she finishes and asks to be taken to another option, Du-sik casually reveals that this is the only available office. Confused by his behavior, she presses him, only to explain that the next place he mentioned is actually the house she will be leaving her stunned by this revelation. They later inspect the house, and Hye-jin points out several changes she would like to make to the apartment. Du-sik agrees and takes her to sign the lease for both the clinic and the house. However, she is shocked to find out that the owner of both properties is Hwa-jong and senses foul play. Hwa-jong reassures her that she is not a scammer and even shows her the identity card, revealing she is the zone chief of the village, while Du-sik is the area chief. Du-sik also chimes in and reveals that Hwa-jong initially reserved the office space for her second restaurant, but only leased it out because she believes a dental clinic will be of benefit to the people. This changes her mind, and she immediately signs the contract. She proceeds to leave, but Du-sik stops her on the way, asks for payment for the services he rendered, and, after receiving payment, offers to renovate her house. She doubts his authenticity, and he flaunts his cards showing various handwork he is certified in. She is shocked by this revelation while he walks off unfazed. She returns to the city to pack her load, and that is when she informs Miseon, her best friend, of her move. Miseon thinks she is crazy, but she assures her that she knows what she is doing. The two share an emotional goodbye before Hye-jin returns to the village the next day, determined to start over. While the movers are taking her load in, curious villagers gather to inspect their new neighbor. Hwa-jong welcomes her warmly as her new landlady and introduces her to the rest of the villagers, who linger awkwardly and openly stare. She appreciates them and excuses herself to go oversee her moving in, but the prying neighbors refuse to leave and continue to stare at her from the fence. That night, she calls her father to inform him of her move to the village, and he promises to send her flowers for good luck. She continues to unpack and receives Du-sik's visitation shortly after to verify her registration and brags about how he turned the apartment around before laying down some rules she has to follow. The next morning, Hye-jin jogs to her clinic to find out that everything has already been set up by Du-sik. Elsewhere, he is helping the three grandmas to cut soap they can use for bathing, earning playful teasing for being good at everything except finding a wife for himself. Later, Hwa-jong visits Hye-jin's apartment, impressed by the changes it has made, and invites her to a party for the village elders. Though initially hesitant, Hye-jin agrees after realizing it can help promote her clinic. At the party, Hye-jin introduces herself to the villagers, but quickly alienates them by criticizing their lifestyles. Offended, the villagers begin to leave her one by one till she is left sitting alone. She sighs, feeling like she blew it, until Oh-yoon comes to introduce himself again, this time around giving her his album to listen to. Moments later, the village chief, Young-guk, announces the speakers from the announcement room to urge others to join the party, while Oh-yoon continues to chat with an uninterested Hye-jin about his struggles as a second-place singer. Excusing herself from Oh-hyun, Hye-jin runs into Du-sik, who offers her soup. She, however, declines, claiming it was prepared unsanitarily, angering Du-sik, who accuses her of being classist. She escapes the confrontation by taking a call from Miseon and going into the village announcement room because of the noise from the party. Venting her frustrations, she unknowingly speaks into the live microphone, mocking the villagers and laying emphasis on Oh-yoon being a failed singer and refusing to see himself as such. When she returns to the party, she is met with furious stares from the villagers. Hwa-jong signals to Young-guk to go turn off the microphone in the room, and that is when she realizes that she has messed up. A humiliated Oh-hyun leaves the now quiet party while the rest of the villagers continue to stare at her furiously, Du-sik included. That night, she uploads a dental hygienist vacancy online, after which she blames her big mouth for putting her in trouble. Soon after, Miseon unexpectedly shows up, revealing she broke up with her cheating boyfriend, plans to stay and work with Hye-jin instead, and urges her to take down the ad she posted online. The next day, they get to work, hoping for a good first day, but nobody visits. Frustrated, she goes out for a night jog where she meets Du-sik, who who sympathizes with her situation and suggests she delivers rick cakes to the villagers as a peace offering. Although she follows the advice, the villagers remain cold to her. Even though the clinic stays empty the next day until Du-sik drags her to the neighborhood meeting. Reluctantly, she enters the meeting, and the villagers begin to shade her, while Oh-yoon avoids her eyes. Just in time, Du-sik enters with snacks, and claims Hye-jin instructed him to give them as a peace offering. The villagers, including her, are shocked while he begins to distribute the snacks to them. After the meeting and everybody has left for their respective houses, Hye-jin thanks him, but he hands her the bill for the snacks and asks for a refund because she is obviously richer than him. She is shocked by this and does not even feel grateful anymore. The next day at her clinic, Yoon Hye-jin, a villager who also happens to be a policeman, walks in, and they just stare at him, wondering what he wants. He asks if the clinic is open, and that is when they realize he is there for treatment, leaving them in shock. More people start coming, and they are happy about it, so that at the end of the workday, they are exhausted but are too happy to feel it. Miseon credits luck, but Hye-jin knows it is definitely Du-sik's handwork. After closing for the day, Hye-jin goes to Oh-yoon's cafe to apologize for what she said and even tells him she has a favorite song on the album he gave her during the party. This leaves Oh-yoon in high spirits while Hye-jin continues her journey. She meets Du-sik at the cliffside to thank him for quietly helping her find her footing in the village. The following week, Du-sik repeatedly delivers packages to Hye-jin's house as she struggles to find the perfect outfit for a college mate's wedding in the city. When he questions why she needs so many clothes, she explains her dilemma. Seeing this as an opportunity, Du-sik shows up on the day of the trip with the three grandmas, hoping to carpool. Though irritated, Hye-jin reluctantly agrees. On the way, the grandmas begin to pry into her personal life and ask about her parents, and that is when Du-sik finds out that her mother has passed away, and she is only left with her father. They finally reach the city, and she drops the grandma off at their bus stop. She also drops off Du-sik as well and asks why he came to the city, only for him to dodge her question and bid her farewell and unknowingly leaves his phone in her car. He heads to a psychiatric clinic to complain about his nightmares, while she proceeds to the wedding. After the ceremony, she is on her way back to her car when she spots the bride with her mother, stirring quiet sadness. Her moment is interrupted by Du-sik, who comes to meet her to retrieve her missing phone. Worried that her colleagues may see them together, she hurries him to her car, and he uses the opportunity to ride with her back to the village. The next day, she visits Oh-yoon's cafe and finds Du-sik teaching him how to brew coffee. Oh-yoon casually reveals Du-sik is a certified barrister, leaving Hye-jin puzzled by his unconventional life. When Du-sik leaves them to attend to another one of his other numerous businesses, while Oh-yoon goes to prepare coffee for her, she feels a type of way because she asks where he is going, but he ignores her. Du-sik later visits Gamri, the eldest of the three grandmas and a mother figure to him. While they are eating, he notices that she is finding it hard to chew her food, so the next day, he forces her against her will to Hye-jin's clinic. During the consultation, Du-sik keeps interrupting their conversation, and Hye-jin tells him to respectfully butt out as payback for ignoring her back at Oh-yoon's cafe. Hye-jin suggests Gamri get a dental implant, but she refuses. Out of curiosity, she asks if she is short on money, and she, in return, brags about how she owns a vast amount of land, an accountant's son in the city, and a granddaughter schooling in the United States. Hye-jin sees no need to argue with her then and tells her coldly to leave. After Gamri's departure, Du-sik confronts Hye-jin about her rudeness, upsetting her deeply. That evening, she vents to Miseon, who teasingly questions why she is so affected by it. She is still trying to explain herself when she sees Du-sik's call, and Miseon watches in amusement. Hye-jin honors Du-sik's call and meets him outside. He persuades her to tell Gamri that she will receive a cheap treatment option, but he is going to pay her secretly. She refuses, insisting she can't deceive her patient. Du-sik tries to explain that Gamri is enduring because of her kids, and she furiously tells him the best gift she can give her kids is to take care of herself, storming off angrily. Du-sik watches as she leaves and understands she is talking from a place of pain because of the death of her mother. The next day, during lunch with Miseon, she eats sadly and begins to complain about how hard the whole food is, so after she gets off work, she visits Gamri at her home. Gamri welcomes her happily as a guest and serves her dinner as a thank you for giving her a lift to the city. After she finishes eating, she thanks her for the food and gently persuades her to get treatment, offering to treat her well. Gamri goes to her clinic the following day for treatment, and she happily welcomes her. Shortly after, Du-sik receives a call from Gamri while attending to community issues to get her porridge urgently. Du-sik immediately goes to her house with the porridge, and that is when he discovers that Hye-jin has persuaded her to get treatment, and she has gone for it. That evening, Hye-jin experiences a blackout, prompting her to call Du-sik for help. Du-sik arrives and calls the power company, who explains that the issue is with the power supply line and will be fixed soon. She goes to the fridge to get him ice cream, mainly because she does not want it to melt because of the blackout, and Du-sik thanks her for persuading Gamri to get treatment. After he leaves, he texts her to check the fuse box, and that is when she sees that he returned her second shoe while she was distracted with getting ice cream. Rushing outside, she asks Du-sik where he found it. He casually says on the street. Smiling, she slips it on just as the lights come back on, unaware that he had rescued it from the sea and cared for it all along. The following days pass by with Hye-jin meeting Du-sik on her way to work every morning, and they casually exchange pleasantries. But this particular morning, Hye-jin does not meet him on the way, which makes her feel a type of way, and she tells Miseon they should order lunch with the hope he will deliver it. After lunch, her mood sinks further because Du-sik did not deliver the food, and when she drops the takeaway outside her office, she wonders where he can be. On their way back home from work, Hye-jin and Miseon meet Nam-suk, a restaurant owner and the village's self-appointed information officer, who invites them to the shopkeepers' meeting, meant for every business owner in the village, which is being held soon. Hye-jin is skeptical at first, but when she hears Du-sik will be there, she agrees to go, while Miseon excuses herself. At the meeting, which is held at Oh-hyun's cafe, she wonders why Du-sik is in attendance when he does not even own a business, and he explains that he is a freelancer hired by Nam-suk. Everybody began to talk familiarly with one another, and she felt left out, so she excused herself to the bathroom. When she returns, she still feels bored, and she pretends to be drunk by placing her head on the table with the hope that they will wake her up to go home. Soon after, everybody begins to leave, and that is when Hwa-jeong notices her and wonders who will take her home. Du-sik volunteers to help her, and he gives her a piggyback ride. On the way back, her shoe falls off, and she begins to panic, silently hoping Du-sik returns for it instead of brushing it off. However, Du-sik stops and tells her to get off and stop pretending. She complies and immediately returns for her fallen shoe while he scoffs. He asks why she pretended to be asleep during the meeting, and she lets him know she wanted to get home early before storming off, leaving him wondering if she can ever make space for more friends. The next day, Du-sik leaves for the sea to celebrate his day off, but is disturbed by villagers who need his help with one thing or another. He refuses because he has a rule of not doing anything on his day off, but having the day to himself. On the other hand, Myung-hak, one of the locals, visits Hye-jin's clinic and is being attended to by Miseon in the treatment room. During the treatment, he begins to touch her inappropriately, and Hye-jin walks in to catch him in the act. She drags him to the main office and begins to accuse him. Gamri, who is visiting for a checkup, sees the situation before entering fully and immediately excuses herself to call Du-sik to inform him of what she just saw. Myung-hak feels offended, calls the police himself, and begins to accuse Hye-jin of defamation. Just in time, Du-sik enters the clinic and hits Myung-hak, causing him to faint, and immediately goes to check to see if Hye-jin is okay. Relieved she is fine, he falls to the floor to catch his breath because he ran all the way from the sea to the clinic. About 20 minutes after the incident, Hye-jin and Du-sik arrive at the police station. Hye-jin stages a silent protest, insisting she is not going to leave until the police arrest Myung-hak. Miseon meets her there moments after, and they begin to cry while the rest of the officers and Du-sik watch them weirdly. Their moment is interrupted by Gamri, who enters the station to submit Myung-hak's phone that she saw on the floor of the clinic after the others left. Her timing is impeccable. Thanks to this singular act, the police immediately connect the dots and go to arrest him from the hospital where he is currently receiving treatment due to Du-sik's earlier attack, because the phone contains incriminating pictures of different ladies. The next day, Hye-jin visits Du-sik at his place with a fruit basket and a bottle of wine. They share the bottle of wine, and she begins to talk about her late mother while he listens with rapt attention, feeling pity for her. She soon starts to feel self-conscious and blames the wine and a mild fever she thinks she is developing. She asks him if she looks red, and he places his hands on her face to check her temperature, catching her by surprise at the closeness. The next morning, Hye-jin wakes up at Du-sik's place and immediately sneaks out, forgetting her umbrella in the process. But as she is about to leave, Nam-suk sees her and immediately notifies the rest of the villagers on the online community platform. The message soon spreads quickly within minutes among the villagers, reactions pile up, and speculation grows louder by the second, such that when Hye-jin finally gets home, she is immediately questioned by Miseon, who wants to know if there was any clapping. She, however, ignores her question and asks for hangover tea instead. While drinking the tea, she begins to get flashbacks of how she was a nuisance the day before, from laughing hysterically to acting very free around him, and she decides on the spot that she is going to quit drinking. Shortly after, she begins her journey to her clinic and runs into Du-sik in the presence of prying neighbors. He suggests they go to the nearest restaurant for hangover soup. After the meal, he again suggests they go to Oh-hyun's restaurant for coffee, and she asks if he likes her. He denies it immediately, telling her to stop being delusional. She expresses her relief because they are in different social positions, and this word made him very angry, so he stormed off. She returns to her clinic to confide in Miseon, and she lets her know that word on the street is that she's the lucky one in their relationship and not him because he graduated from the most prestigious university in the country with a degree in engineering. She does not believe her ears because she finds it difficult to comprehend that somebody of that pedigree will choose to live the current life he is living. She later asks Miseon to pick a side, but she ignores her and tells her they are expecting a patient soon, to stop the conversation from going any further. Du-sik, on the other hand, decides to enjoy the rest of the day. Wandering through the village, he takes random photographs of the surroundings, capturing the charm of local life. During his exploration, he encounters Seong-yin, a famous TV show director who has come to the village for a shoot. Du-sik quickly reacts when Seong-hyun nearly falls into the sea, saving him just in time. After exchanging introductions, Du-sik takes him to Hwa-jong's restaurant and places an order. Seong-hyun is impressed with the food, praising its taste and suggesting that he would love to feature it on his show. Du-sik, assuming Seong-hyun is some kind of content creator, enthusiastically encourages the idea, feeling a sense of pride in supporting local talent. The next day, Hye-jin prepares to leave her house for a teaching event she has in the village's primary school when she realizes that Miseon, who is supposed to be her assistant for the gig, has stomach issues. She is disappointed, but Miseon assures her that a substitute will be waiting for her at the school, only to reach the school and see that the substitute is Du-sik, the last person she wishes to see. On the way to the class, Du-sik begins to tease her for mistaking his act of kindness for love. She, in return, ignores the shade and asks if he will be able to work as her assistant. He just tells her to follow him inside, and during the program, Du-sik easily keeps the kids engaged, leaving her stunned. After the teaching, Hye-jin asks the kids if they have any questions concerning what she just taught them, but the kids keep asking if the two of them are together because they've been hearing rumors from their parents. She looks at Du-sik, who simply shrugs in response, before she tells them to ask only teeth-related questions. They are, however, saved by the bell, and the kids flood out, signifying the end of the class. When they leave the school, Du-sik requests payment for his work as her assistant, but because she does not have cash and he only accepts cash, he offers that she treat him to a meal instead, so she takes him to the restaurant at the outskirts of the village to avoid the curious eyes of their neighbors. While they are waiting for their meal, she apologizes for the social hierarchy comment she made during their previous meeting, but he dismisses it with ease, assuring her she is entitled to her opinion. Seeing this as an opening, she questions him further, challenges his academic background by giving him hard mathematics questions to solve, to confirm if he is telling the truth. Du-sik, in return, begins scribbling on the table to solve the questions he is given. He gets each question right, leaving her frustrated even more. She afterward advises him to level up and stop living his current life, while Dusky counters that she is narrow-minded. Their playful back and forth is interrupted when the waiter arrives, visibly annoyed at their transformed table now covered in equations. Hye-jin and Du-sik apologize, laugh at their own childish antics, and then finally enjoy their meal together. After eating, they head out only to see that it has begun to rain, and Du-sik returns Hye-jin's umbrella to her, telling her she left it the last time she went to his place. She collects it and begins to open it, but Du-sik stops her midway, grabs her hand, and leads her into the rain. They make their way to the seashore, where they run, splash, and play freely under the falling rain. The moment feels lighthearted and carefree, and they continue playing until Hye-jin signifies a timeout so that she does not end up with a cold the next day, and Du-sik moves closer to confirm by touching her head. This physical contact makes her remember that she kissed him when she went to his house the other day. Realizing this, Hye-jin asks Du-sik for confirmation, but he lies to her, and she excuses herself. Downcast, she returns home to confide in Miseon, who figures out she is only sad because Du-sik refuses to acknowledge the kiss. She, however, refuses to agree that it is the case and vows never to get involved with Du-sik again. But her word soon backfires because she meets him the next day at Oh-yoon's cafe, working as a barista. Du-sik asks about her well-being, but she tells him to stop being nosy and take her order. This statement hurts his feelings, and he is about to protest, but is interrupted by Oh-hyun and Juri, who both walk in, arguing. Oh-hyun pleads with both of them to advise Juri to take her schoolwork more seriously and stop obsessing over boy bands. Du-sik tells him to leave her to live her life the way she wants, but Hye-jin counters this and advises her to get a college degree so as to be able to get a reputable job. She also asks Oh-hyun to take her order himself, completely ignoring Du-sik. Du-sik, on the other hand, sees that she is giving him the cold shoulder and leaves, realizing that she probably remembers the kiss. Later that day, he visits an uninterested Hye-jin at her clinic for a checkup with the hope of pacifying her. After the procedure, Hye-jin informs him that his teeth are in good shape and he should let her know if anything is bothering him. He simply tells her that their relationship is bothering him and asks if she is giving him the silent treatment because of the kiss they shared, causing her to cough awkwardly. He explains that he only played dumb because he does not want things to be awkward between them and encourages her to let them continue their friendship. She refuses and instructs Miseon, who has just entered, to scale his teeth before leaving him alone. After Du-sik leaves, Miseon asks Hye-jin over a meal of a sandwich about their conversation, and she briefs her. She nods in agreement and picks up her phone, only to see a picture of Hye-jin and a strange lady walking together and shows Hye-jin, who laughs in annoyance. Meanwhile, Du-sik is on his way home when he hears Gamri's call for help. He immediately rushes into her compound and finds her fighting with an intruder on his way home. He runs to her defense only to find out it is Song-yeon, and they immediately recognize each other. Moments after, the fight is settled over a meal with Du-sik acting as the intermediary. Seong-hyun apologizes to her, informing her that he only entered her house because he thinks her house is very beautiful, making her blush in response. A few days later, the villagers gather for their weekly meeting, and Jungkook briefs them on the Lighthouse Song Festival competition coming up very soon, stating there will be cash prizes for the top 3 contestants. This excites the villagers, and they begin to encourage one another to join the contest. One of the villagers encourages Du-sik to team up with Hye-jin, while Nam-suk tells him to read the room, because since they are not sitting together, it means they are no longer together. Hye-jin immediately sets the record straight by informing all of the villagers to stop spreading false rumors about them because nothing is going on between them and leaves. Immediately, Du-sik stands to follow Hye-jin and tells her to stop taking things to heart, but she informs him she does not like how everybody is shipping them together and would like them to stop being friendly because she does not befriend just anyone. This statement makes him disappointed in her, and he leaves her alone. On the other hand, the villagers begin to prepare and register for the singing contest. The day of the singing contest finally arrives, and Miseon drags Hye-jin to the venue. She meets Du-sik at the entrance while volunteering, and they refuse to acknowledge each other. The time for performance starts, and Oh-hyun is the first to come on stage to perform. After his performance, he gives a shout-out to Juri with the hope that he will see him performing, but Juri is backstage watching DOS, her favorite boy band, on her phone. Shortly after, Du-sik runs into her and asks if she will be performing as well, but she tells him to mind her business before limping away. Du-sik notices her leg and becomes worried for her, so he goes to meet Hye-jin in the audience for help. Hye-jin refuses to follow him at first, but changes her mind when she discovers he is calling her attention because someone is hurt. She follows him to meet Juri, only to realize it is a leg problem, and reminds him of her job description. But he is convinced she is more experienced in the area than him, so he persuades her to examine the leg. After examining it, she finds out that it is swollen and advises that she should be taken to the hospital. Juri refuses, telling Hye-jin she has to perform because she needs the prize money to get braces for her snaggletooth since Oh-hyun has refused to help her. They try to discourage her, but she refuses because she feels self-conscious about smiling in front of a guy he likes. Still trying to justify her reason, her name is called onto the stage, surprising clueless Oh-hyun in the audience. She limps onto the stage, which worries Oh-hyun even more. She begins to sing but pauses midway because of fear. Immediately, Hye-jin and Du-sik come to her rescue by bringing a chair for her to sit on and serving as her backup dancers. Their dance steps amuse the audience because they are completely out of sync, but Oh-hyun encourages the crowd to cheer for Juri. After the performance, Miseon smirks at Hye-jin's shenanigans from her seat, mocking her promise of not getting involved with Du-sik again, while Hye-jin and Du-sik help her backstage to sit. Jury is confident she will win because the audience seems hooked on their performance, but her confidence is cut short after hearing the next contestant's voice from the stage. Her voice completely stunned the audience, who watched her in admiration, and when the time for prize giving came, Jury got the second-place prize while the other contestant was first. Hye-jin then promises Jury to help her do her braces, and she can use the money as her down payment. She thanks her and excuses herself to go watch Das' upcoming performance on her phone, only to receive the shock of her life when she sees that Das is performing live on stage. After the Das boys finish their performance and are heading back to their car, Oh-yoon backs Jury and runs to meet them so she can be able to greet her favorite member, Jun, before he leaves. After getting his attention, she introduces herself as his fan and begins to explain how dedicated she has been to him. Jun, in return, compliments her snaggletooth, which makes her extremely happy, and she bids him farewell afterwards. Oh-hyun then took her to a seat and helped bandage her leg to ease her pain. He also gives her the money he receives from his performance for her brace, but she declines it, saying she does not need it anymore since Jun already complimented it. He wonders what superpower Jun has and assists her in walking home. Unknown to them, Hye-jin has been watching their display from afar and realizes how much she misses her dad, so on her way back, she calls him to check up on him and thank him for the flowers he sent a few days back. Along the way, she sees Du-sik approaching her, and she tries to dodge him, but persistent Du-sik keeps following her and engages her in a conversation about the performance they did earlier and also insists on continuing their friendship. They are interrupted by fireworks displayed to mark the end of the event, and she watches it with a smile on her face while he stares at her. However, his staring is cut short by someone pushing him, and he is about to fall into the sea, but he is immediately saved by Hye-jin, who grabs his hand, and a passerby quickly grabs his back from behind. Hye-jin looks at the passerby only to realize it is Seong-yeon, her college colleague, who has also been looking for her since after college. After Hye-jin and Seong-yeon help Du-sik up, she discovers that the two guys are already familiar with each other. Soon after, Jaewon, Seong-yeon's writer, joins the trio in their conversation and informs Seong-yeon that Yoongguk is asking for them. That is when Hye-jin realizes that Jaewon is the lady in the picture Miseon showed her the other day and feels relieved that nothing is going on between the two of them, as he was just a tour guide for her. The four of them all go to Hwajeong's restaurant to meet Yoongguk, where Yoongguk introduces Seong-yeon to the villagers present as a famous TV show director who has come to the village to shoot a new variety show on food, and this is when Du-sik realizes that he is actually a director and not a content creator. After the introduction, Seong-yeon goes to meet with Hye-jin, and they begin to catch up while Du-sik keeps interrupting them. Nam-suk soon joins in their conversation and begins to question if they have anything going on because she can sense some chemistry. Seong-yeon clears the air, saying Hye-jin is just a friend he cares about. Hye-jin soon excuses herself, claiming she has work tomorrow, and Seong-yeon suggests she will escort her. This rubs Du-sik in a type of way as he also gets up to join them. On the way, Du-sik suggests to Seong-yeon that they grab a drink at his place after seeing Hye-jin off. Feeling left out, Hye-jin decides to tag along. During the drink, Hye-jin and Seong-yeon continue to catch up while Du-sik is completely left out. Moments later, Seong-yeon asks Du-sik to be his team's guide, and he refuses, but Seong-yeon does not want to take no for an answer. So he insists that they play a game which will allow the loser to do whatever the winner wants. After they play numerous games, an exhausted Du-sik realizes he cannot win and accepts his offer. They all sleep off from exhaustion, and when Hye-jin wakes up the next morning, she hurries out of the house only for Nam-suk to catch her again, just as Seong-yeon also rushes out to bid her farewell. Hye-jin gets home to be questioned by Miseon again, but she has other news and tells her about Seong-hyun's arrival before heading into the shower. Miseon, on the other hand, is amazed and says she senses a love triangle brewing. Later that morning, Seong-hyun introduces Du-sik to the rest of his team that just arrived from the city. Do-ha, Seong-hyun's assistant, immediately takes a liking to Du-sik because of his friendly attitude while Du-sik shows them around. After walking for hours, Jaewon asks Seong-yeon about where their main shoot location is going to be, and he tells her he has a place in mind, only for them to get there, and Gamri refuses to lend them her house. He and Du-sik try to persuade her, but she refuses. Accepting defeat, they bid her farewell and left. Later that day, Seong-yun's team meets with Du-sik to decide on the next house they can use, but Seong-yun makes them realize he has his eyes fixed on Gamri's house. Confused, his team follows him to the market for shopping, where he gets different items, and he takes them to Gamri's house. Thankfully, he meets Gamri's two other friends, who try to persuade her, but she refuses, insisting she does not want a bribe. Seong-yun assures her that it is just an appreciation gift for the last time she gave him food at her house, and she accepts. For the days that follow, Seong-yun begins to shower Gamri with a lot of attention until a day comes when he does not visit, making her feel lonely. So that night, she calls her granddaughter to check on her because she misses her and asks when she will be able to visit her, but she tells her she already has plans with her friends and will try to see if she will be able to visit. Disappointed, Gamri tells her not to worry if it is going to stress her. The following week, Hye-jin visits Gamri to return her missing wallet, which she found when she was cleaning her clinic, and meets Du-sik on her way out, who tricks her into joining him to help Gamri watch her blankets. She changes into Gamri's clothes and joins Du-sik in washing while Gamri watches them happily. After washing, they help her spread her blankets to dry, only for her to bring out more blankets for washing. Tired, Hye-jin tries to leave, but Du-sik stops her, and after they finish the second round of washing, Gamri rewards them with snacks. As they are eating, Seong-hyun arrives with a cake for Gamri. They exchange pleasantries, and Gamri comes out to accuse him of not visiting for a while now. Seong-hyun teases her by asking if she missed him, but she denies it, while Du-sik wonders when they became so close that they can converse like that. Gamri shuts Du-sik down, stating they are not close, while Seong-hyun hands her the cake he got. She asks if he has eaten, and he replies that he is just on his way to dinner and that he will be going with a friend. Gamri tells him not to bother going out for dinner and he should invite his friend in so she can feed them. Seong-hyun happily calls on his friend, who turns out to be Jun. After exchanging pleasantries with the others and Gamri teases Jun for being skinny, she serves them food. After they finish their meal, Seong-yeon helps Gamri with the dishes, who thanks him for helping her enjoy her day, saying she has not had to take a lot of plates out in a while because her family does not visit her often. The following morning, Du-sik visits Gamri to give her milk, and Gamri tells him to help her bring Seong-hyun over because she has decided to lease her house to him for the shoot, which he happily obliges. On the other hand, Hye-jin receives a food basket from Seong-hyun and calls him to thank him, promising to treat him soon. Later that day, Du-sik takes Seong-hyun to the house and tells him all the rules he has to follow. After the briefing, Seong-hyun asks him if Hye-jin has a boyfriend, leaving him stunned. Seong-hyun asks him again, and Du-sik tells him he does not think so, making him smile in relief. Du-sik finally regains himself and accuses him of not just asking her directly, but he sees nothing wrong with the question, laughing at how awkward he is acting. Just in time, Jaewon and Do-ha arrive as he is about to leave and ask where he is going, but he just lays his frustration on them, making them wonder why he is so cranky. Meanwhile, at Oh-yoon's restaurant, some of the villagers gather to discuss how female clothes are strangely disappearing recently over beer and chips. The conversation soon shifts to Hye-jin, and Nam-suk claims she is hooking up with both Du-sik and Seong-yeon. Miseon arrives just in time to tell Nam-suk to stop spreading false rumors, but she still insists on it, claiming she saw it with her 2 eyes. Oh-hyun immediately breaks the tension and drags Miseon to the bar to take her order. However, Miseon gets home to report to Hye-jin. She is nonchalant about it at first, but when she hears that the villagers believe the men can do better, she takes offense. In the meantime, Du-sik teaches Seong-hyun how to surf on the sea, and after they finish and are on their way back home, Seong-hyun suggests they go out for dinner, but he refuses. He is still trying to persuade him to change his mind when Hye-jin and Miseon approach him, and they thank him for the brunch he sent earlier. On hearing this, Du-sik joins in their conversation and begins to shade the concept of brunch. Seong-hyun cuts in to ask where they are going to, and he discovers they are going for dinner too. He offers to join them, but Miseon immediately comes up with a silly excuse to leave with the hope of getting the two to get dinner alone. Seong-hyun suggests they continue the journey, and Du-sik decides to tag along. They get to the restaurant, and Hye-jin sits beside Du-sik, causing him to hide his smile while Seong-hyun looks defeated. As they are eating, Hye-jin begins to sing Seong-hyun praises, and they begin to reminisce on old times, which prompts left-out Du-sik to ask how they met. He discovers they met when they took an elective together back in college, and he gave her a meal package for dinner because he saw that her dinner option for the day was not okay. They continue to catch up, so Du-sik has to cause a distraction to stop their banter. The next day, Nam-suk visits Hye-jin in her clinic to get a half procedure. Hye-jin is worried about this, but has no power to do anything about it since that is what she wants. After she leaves, Miseon explains to her that she found a dentist who offers a cheaper procedure and has been telling the whole village about it. Meanwhile, Du-sik sees Young, a pregnant store owner, trying to lift a load into her store and runs to help her, only to see that Seong-yeon is helping her already, leaving him displeased. He, however, continues his journey and goes to Gamri's house only to see that the three grandmas are currently eating the food Seong-yeon had earlier delivered to them. This makes him angry, and he begins to lament while the grandmas watch his display. Later that day, Hye-jin visits the store with her neck brace on and sees Du-sik working as the cashier. She gets her package and proceeds to pay while he questions why she has a neck brace on. She explains it is for her herniated disc and removes it, not believing she forgot to drop off at the clinic before coming. Du-sik pauses to stare at her beautiful face and gets so lost that Hye-jin has to snap him out of his trance. He regains himself and asks about her condition. She says she got it from staring down at patients' mouths all day, explaining how her job comes with its own hazards before leaving. After she leaves, he begins to question his feelings for her. However, when he returns home at night, he finds himself thinking about her condition and begins to prepare herbs he can give her to use. Meanwhile, on the other hand, Hwajong stops a stranger from abducting one of the villagers by scaring him away. The news soon reaches Hye-jin and Miseon the next morning on their way to work, making them worry. That is not the only thing of concern because when Hye-jin resumes work and consults with a patient, she confirms what Miseon earlier told her about Nam-suk. Nam-suk, on the other hand, is busy conversing with Juri, warning her not to go out at night because of the recent strange happenings, when Hye-jin meets her to confront her. Sensing the intensity of the conversation, Nam-suk bids Juri farewell and begins to defend herself, but Hye-jin is not having it and educates her on the dangers of seeing a quack. She also tells her to apologize and stop misleading her patients, but she refuses. Du-sik, who was initially watching the conversation from afar, joins them and tells Nam-suk to apologize since she is in the wrong. Nam-suk claims she feels like they are ganging up on her, refuses to apologize, and walks away while he tells Hye-jin to have used a softer tone when she was earlier addressing her, but she scoffs. Later that day, Hye-jin informs Miseon of her plans to report Nam-suk to the authorities on the way home, but Miseon advises her to drop it because she is ignorant and to instead focus on choosing between Seong-hyun and Du-sik. They are soon interrupted by Seong-hyun, who runs to meet them, and Miseon excuses herself, leaving the two of them together. After Miseon leaves, the two exchange pleasantries, and he gives her a baton for self-defense because of the recent happenings and a doll that happens to be his lucky charm. She thanks him, and he escorts her home. They get to her place late at night, and it has already started raining, only to meet Du-sik waiting at the front of her house. He hands her the herbs he prepared for her condition, turns down her request to give him an umbrella, and hurries home. She settles down inside, takes the herbs Du-sik gifted her earlier, and calls her to thank him, but he does not pick up. The next morning, Nam-suk receives a call from a fraudster who informs her of a new high-interest savings plan. She happily sets out to meet the person when she runs into Hye-jin, who is out on her morning jog, but ignores her. She meets with the man, and Hye-jin approaches them to discourage her, but the man grabs the money and runs while Hye-jin chases after him. Meanwhile, Seong-hyun and Du-sik are on their way to the hardware store to get equipment for Seong-hyun's upcoming shoot. Seong-hyun begins to emphasize how sick Du-sik looks, only to be interrupted by the fraudster and Hye-jin, who run past them. They both join in the chase, and Du-sik gets him. They hand him over to the authorities, and Seong-hyun returns Nam-suk's money to her. She appreciates the two guys leaving Hye-jin out and follows the culprit in the police car. Hye-jin thanks the guys and notices that Du-sik is injured and does not look well. Du-sik, however, brushes it off and returns to his house to rest. Shortly after, he hears his doorbell ring and goes to open his door only to see Hye-jin outside, who invites herself in to treat him properly. She applies ointment to his wound while he stares at her and tells him to lie down while she goes to prepare porridge for him in his kitchen. After she is done, she returns with his food only to see that he is fast asleep. Tempted, she leans closer, almost kissing him in his sleep, but stops herself at the last second and leaves immediately, hitting herself for almost making a crazy decision. A few minutes later, he wakes up and notices the food. He takes a bite and is amused at how bad it tastes, but he keeps on eating it anyway. The following day, she runs into Hwajong, who invites her into her restaurant. She thanks her for what she did for Nam-suk and explains that she used to have a daughter who lost her life to a terminal sickness. It broke her for days until she started making donations to the hospital her daughter was in when she was alive. The villagers all know about her attitude, but they tolerate her because it is better than seeing her depressed, so when she runs into Nam-suk on her way to the clinic, she tells her to come to the clinic to get a checkup, and she thanks her. Later that night, the villagers gather at Gamri's house to watch Seong-in's first shoot while Hye-jin works late in her clinic. She soon realizes the time and walks home alone, only to feel that she is being followed. Scared, she begins to run and meets Du-sik waiting for her in front of her house. Relieved, she runs to give him a tight hug, catching him by surprise. That is the end for today's video. If you stayed until now, comment down below Chief Hong Supremacy for Part 2. Hit the like button and subscribe for more K-drama recaps like this. See you at the next one.